Welcome back. Now, these are live visuals from day 2 of the SCO summit that is presently underway in Bishkek, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi and also the other leaders of the participating nations are coming up for a photo op. This is a joint photo op for the 8 leaders of the SCO, along with these are 8 leaders of the SCO nations. You have Prime Minister Narendra Modi, you have Chinese President Xi Jinping, Russian President Vladimir Putin, Imran Khan, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, and also the heads of states of the 4 Central Asian nations also are present. Remember, this is, of course, the first multilateral engagement of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And what is also being looked at very closely is whether there will be any kind of informal interaction between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Imran Khan. And looking at the body language of the 2 leaders, it appears that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has in fact snubbed Imran Khan by not holding any kind of interaction with him, formal or informal. There was to be no structured interaction between the 2 leaders, and now it appears there's also likely to be no unstructured, informal dialogue between the 2 leaders. And these are live visuals from Bishkek in Kyrgyzstan, where the 8 leaders from the 8 different nations who are members of the SCO, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, are presently partaking in an interaction with each other. Now, this has been called as the Alliance of the East. Remember, the big heavyweight nations of East are all part of this organization, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and this is an organization that is heavy in terms of how China leads it, and many of the issues that are picked up are generally the issues that are not looked at in the Western grouping of nations. So this is day 2 of the engagements between the leaders who have gathered in Bishkek in Kyrgyzstan. This is, of course, an important meeting that is presently underway in Bishkek in Kyrgyzstan, where the leaders of the 8 nations who are part of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, we just saw, had assembled for a photo op. So this was an organization that was created back in 2001. China, of course, is one of the key nations in this organization, and therefore this organization is heavily bent towards China and the agenda that it intends to set up. The SCO is widely regarded as the Alliance of the East due to its growing centrality in the Asia-Pacific and has been the primary security pillar of the region. It is also the largest regional organization in the world in terms of geographical coverage and population, covering almost about 3/5 of the Eurasian continent and nearly about half the human population. So these are live visuals from the Ala Archa Presidential Palace in Bishkek in Kyrgyzstan. The 8 leaders are, of course, holding different plenaries, and different bilateral and also multilateral engagements are presently underway. Yesterday, of course, was a power-packed day. We saw Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who had a bilateral with the Chinese President Xi Jinping, with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. But interestingly, there has been no interaction, either formal or informal, structured or unstructured, between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Pakistani counterpart of the Prime Minister Imran Khan. Now, this, of course, is an important multilateral engagement that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in fact embarked on. This is also the first multilateral engagement of Prime Minister Narendra Modi after he was re-elected in the general elections in India. And India, remember, has been a part of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization since 2017, and this is a very, very interesting bit of a grouping that is centered on the big powers of the East. China is a part of this grouping. Remember, the SCO fundamentally is a Chinese idea, and it is China that, of course, in many ways leads the agenda at the SCO. India was inducted into the SCO in the year 2017. So was Pakistan. And apart from the agenda that is presently unfolding at SCO, what is also being looked at is whether there will be any interaction between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Imran Khan. Yesterday, there was an entire day in which Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Imran Khan did not speak or greet or even shake hands. There have been no photo opportunities. But this of course, is a second day of the SCO, and it will be very interesting to see whether there will be any interaction. So the 19th Shanghai Cooperation Organization meet has begun, and the leaders of the 8 member nations and also the 4 observer nations are presently at the Kyrgyz capital of Bishkek, and this is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's first multilateral summit after being re-elected. He's already had 2 bilateral meetings yesterday, one with President Xi Jinping of China, and the second one was with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. He also attended a gala dinner yesterday that was hosted by the Kyrgyz President Jinbekov. It's been an action-packed schedule for the Prime Minister, and that is pretty much what we can expect today as well. Let's actually take a look as to what to expect from Bishkek this Friday. Now, the Prime Minister is currently at the Ala Archa Presidential Palace along with the other SCO leaders. The first meeting of the leaders has in fact begun. Prime Minister Modi will be meeting with President of Kazakhstan, Kassym-Jomart, pretty soon, and that will be followed by a joint photo op of the head of the governments of the SCO member states, and this has been the joint photo op session. And Prime Minister Modi will also be meeting with President Alexander Lukashenko of Belarus and with President Khaltmagin Batulga of Mongolia. And this meeting will take place on the sidelines of the summit. At about 11:30 a.m. Indian Standard Time, we can expect Prime Minister Narendra Modi to be a part of the extended format meeting of the SCO leaders. There is expected to be signing of documents, followed by a group photograph of the leaders of the SCO member states as well, and also the nations who enjoy observer status. At 3:25 p.m. Indian Standard Time, Prime Minister Modi will be holding his first bilateral meeting of the day, and this will be with Iran's President Hassan Rouhani. At 4 p.m., Prime Minister Modi will be inaugurating the India-Kyrgyz Business Forum, and at 5:50 p.m., Prime Minister Modi will be holding his second bilateral meeting for the day, and this will be with President Jinbekov of Kyrgyzstan. And the meeting between the two leaders will be followed by delegation-level talks, and this is expected at about 6:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. We can also expect some signing of documents and exchange of agreements 40 minutes later, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi will eventually emplane to return back to New Delhi, back home, at about 9:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. All right, and for more on this, we are also joined in by my colleague Siddhant Subal, who is presently in Bishkek and is tracking all the developments very closely for us. Good morning to you, Siddhant. Now, this of course, was a very interesting photo opportunity that we saw unfold at the Ala Archa Palace. Now, there's been a lot of talk in terms of whether Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan will, in fact, have any kind of engagement. There are likely to be no structured talks between the two, but can we expect a pull aside? That at least did not appear to be the case at the photo opportunity that we just saw.
Well, it doesn't seem likely now. India has given enough signals and message to Islamabad. Yesterday night, there were 2 occasions, one at the dinner, another at the concert. And during both the occasions when both the leaders were present in the same hall, there was no interaction, there was no exchange of pleasantries. The first time they came face to face was just a short while ago at the family photo when the summit was to begin. In fact, the Indian Prime Minister was the first leader to arrive at the summit venue where I am standing. I'm standing in the media hall, and the summit venue is just nearby to that location. After that, when we saw that family photo, we know the leaders, both the Indian and the Pakistani leaders, were standing very far, and of course there was no exchange of pleasantries or exchange any kind of interaction, even though Russia's Vladimir Putin and Pakistan's Imran Khan had a little bit exchange of pleasantries. By and large, India, before the summit and even as the summit is underway, has sent a strong message to Pakistan that when it comes to talks and terror, both of them can't go together. In fact, yesterday when the briefing took place by the Foreign Secretary, after the bilateral between the Chinese President and the Indian Prime Minister, the Foreign Secretary clearly responding to WION's question said that Indian side has told Beijing that India did try to have peace with Islamabad, but it's Islamabad that has been derailing the Indian effort. And a message also sent to Pakistan that when it comes to terrorism, they need to give evidence, strong, verifiable evidence that they are taking action against terror groups. on their territory that have been indulging in anti-India propaganda. But it seems that there hasn't been any change under Imran Khan's Naya Pakistan, as they have been claiming. So by and large, it's ruled out any Indian side has ruled out any structured meeting between both the leaders. In fact, the Pakistani foreign minister also speaking to WION, he replied that there will not be any structured meeting between both the leaders. Pull aside is something that is keeping everyone on tender hooks, but it seems that is also likely not to happen, because there were several moments when they could have interacted or exchanged pleasantries. But the body language is something that we journalists have to interpret, and it clarifies and clears that New Delhi is very, very strong in a sense when it comes to the issue of terrorism, and a strong message has been sent by New Delhi to Islamabad.
Absolutely indeed. And also considering the fact, Siddhant, that the Shanghai Cooperation Organization deals a lot with global issues, it's also been described as the alliance of the East. And considering the fact that China plays such an important role at the SCO, can we expect any kind of a statement coming out from China and also SCO as a whole in terms of what is happening in the global trade war that's been unleashed by President Donald Trump?
Well, we have to wait till 2 p.m. local time. That's around 1:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time, when the joint declaration, the communique will be released. And in that communique, focus will be on many issues, whether it's trade, whether it's terror. Of course, trade is going to be highlighted in a strong way. We know that it's a China-led grouping, and China and Washington are clearly not on the same page when it comes to trade issues. There's a big trade war underway when it comes to China and US. And in fact, New Delhi is also facing the heat now. We have seen US President Donald Trump coming out with comments calling India as a tariff king and related stuff. In fact, he has been calling New Delhi to reduce tariff on several things, including wine and, of course, motorbikes as well. So by and large, New Delhi facing this heat from Washington, and it seems that China would like to have New Delhi by its sides when it comes to the issue of trade, but New Delhi would like to see China on its side when it comes to cross-border terror, especially coming from its all-weather ally Pakistan.